All right, welcome to our very first community update video, and thank you for tuning in. We're trying something different using this format to share updates and would ideally like to do these update videos on a regular basis. Bear in mind, everything said here is for community update purposes only and not financial advice. With that said, my name is Chance, and I'm joined here today by our co-founder Michael and our CEO Brent. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Great to be here with you both.
Really keen to start sharing a little bit more about what we're building internally.
Nice. So we got a good amount to cover today, and to maintain some form of structure and flow to these update videos, there will be 4 main talking points throughout this session. First up, we will acknowledge the past month, or in this case, the past few months, since this is our first video update. This includes hearing more about the unexpected difficulties that came along the way. The second point will be getting into the current priorities for development, mainly for the month ahead. The third point will touch on upcoming developments in the short-term future, which in this case will be about our goals for Q4 and wrapping up this year. We will also be sharing a few videos for you guys later on to showcase the current progress made for some of these upcoming features. And finally, a look into the long-term vision on some of the other things that are planned for further down the line. That being said, let's kick things off starting with what the development team has done over the past couple of months. Brent, over to you.
Yeah, cool. So we have been so busy trying to build all the things, and it's really hard to try and prioritize because internally we've got so many exciting ideas and we get so much great feedback from you guys in the community. So yeah, we've been doing a lot of stuff, and I think part of it as well is, we're a pretty new business. We're less than a year old, and it just means that we've been looking at trying to figure out how to factor in feedback from the community and how we do internal play testing and stuff. And one really good example is the EMP. When we shipped the electromagnetic pulse, we were so excited because we're thinking, okay, we deliberately made these drones that are hunting after players like really hard to deal with. And your only option was to run away. And that was deliberate. We wanted to make sure that people felt that emotion of like, oh, what is that thing on the map? It's coming for us. And so I think when we shipped that part, we thought it through quite well. And I think, observing what everyone said in the community, we felt like it was a really good impact. Some people were annoyed and some people loved it, but everyone was like, whoa, holy. And so when we shipped the EMP, we were kind of like, oh, well, we want players only need to be able to access that, like when a drone's going after them, right? So let's not show the button. And it just turns out that things like that were bad examples. We really should have probably just played it a bit more and done more play testing. Instead, we were trying to get that out the door and into the community. Because on our side, we were thinking, okay, we only want the drones to be hunting players for a certain amount of time before we equip them with EMPs. So we had our own kind of internal deadlines on that stuff. And probably what the better approach would have been was to just test it more and play with it more instead of trying to like get it out in the state that it was in. So we've learned that lesson. We're going to be a little bit more diligent with how we do play testing, and also factor a few people from the community in as well. So yeah, I think EMP is one where we've got lessons and we've got more coming as well. So we will make sure that we apply that lesson for future iterations. Michael, what about you? What have you got to add?
Yeah, so we've also been tweaking the AIs for these hunter drones, and by we, I don't mean we, I mean the boffins at Future Systems, and their engineers have been improving and working on these hunter drones to make them more menacing and aggressive towards the players. One of the first changes that the Future Systems team sort of discovered is that often these drones were heading for wallets that weren't anywhere near the operative that hacked the tower. And that meant that the operative basically had a free run to still go and collect these wallets, and the peril of the drones chasing you wasn't something that people were encountering as frequently as Future Systems were hoping. And so they've actually tweaked the AIs now so that the hunter drones will start targeting the wallet closest to the operative, even if it's not the closest to that drone. So that puts players in harm's way a lot sooner, and also brings the drones closer to them, so that these really fun engagements between the drone and the operatives happens more frequently and quicker after hacks as well. Something else that we've been working on that you guys will have seen is we've shipped the token bridge that allows people to bring the tokens from on-chain into the game and allow them to purchase some of the early consumables and syncs that we've added so far into the game. We have a lot more of those coming soon, and we'll share a little bit more about that shortly. But this bridge is the first step to what will enable a proper crypto economy within the game. Moving on to some of the stuff about tokens, though, one of the other big things that we wanted is to diversify the ways that players earn DeFi so that it's not all just tied to a single game loop. And so we want to actually use the DeFi token as an incentive for various aspects of the Operatives mission that will further the efforts of the DeFi organization. So one of the first things we did was add rewards for players when they actually destroy a drone. That's one of the biggest ways that you can earn right now. And that allows you and encourages you to experience this really fun gameplay element. And then one of the other things that we shipped very recently was a reward for hacking towers as well. So in particular, you get a reward every day for hacking any zone. And so in multiple hacks of that zone each day won't net you more rewards, but we're also further incentivizing you to be the first operative to hack a zone. So when you go to a new zone that's never been hacked by someone before, rather than getting 2 DeFi, we're currently rewarding you an additional 10 DeFi for that hack. You'll see a little example here of what that interface looks like. And we're really excited about this because it's starting
Initiating
to add
hack.
engagement to the actual underlying world that that players are
Hack
operating
successful.
within. And so in this instance, I've already hacked this zone and I earned 2 DeFi for that. Unfortunately, though, we also realized that we really suck at communicating these updates to players. And that's something that we're really hoping to improve and tighten up on in the near future. So we've got some changes around update logs and release notes and those sorts of things that we'll be rolling out in the near future as well. Over to you, Brent.
Yeah, another thing that we did was quite a lot of improvements in the way that the design and the look and feel of the game is. You probably noticed a shift in the color schemes and some of the way that the buttons look and feel. And this is because we had one of our amazing community members that was kind of proactively sharing some ideas about how we could improve the user interface. And after talking a few times and getting some amazing input from them, we basically decided that to ask them to join us full time. And so that person's now in and helping us build a better, more beautiful game that's easier to interact with. So we're just really happy with the evolution. So you can expect more improvements along that same line to come in the future. We've also added a few things like the ability to just small gameplay improvements, and we're always kind of thinking about this in terms of we've got kind of like the big features, like big rocks that we drop in periodically that we're always working on, and then in between the cracks, like while we're doing that, we also try to make small improvements. So one of those smaller ones is like the ability to spend energy to speed up your upload of the current wallet that you've got. Little things like that, and we've got a lot more coming. Another one is that was a big one for us has been improvements to the wallet decryption puzzle. That's something where we all knew that some players didn't like the puzzle as it was, and like heaps of people, I think majority people like quite enjoy it because it's kind of simple and straightforward and kind of just like a nice sort of chill experience. But we wanted to make that more engaging and a little bit deeper than the simple puzzle that we had. So we released an update, and again, we did that same thing as before, where we didn't kind of get enough feedback from you guys in the community, and so basically just it was a bit too punishing. And so we've had a whole bunch of developments in-house where we've been working on the puzzle and iterating, and it's getting closer. But the big thing that we've tried to change is that balance of, as you go up the difficulty curve on how high the security level of the wallet is, we've tried to make it so that instead of feeling like you're getting punished the harder it gets. It's more like you're getting rewarded the better that you do. So that sort of emotion is the type of thing that we're trying to use from just to improve the way that what that experience kind of like looks and feels like. So here's an example of just sort of what has proved to be
Decrypted.
kind of work in progress of that puzzle. Just that sort of really quick look and feel. So this whole thing is changing at the moment. So yeah, we'll be releasing more info on that soon.
Decrypted.
Michael.
And finally, the last thing that we've been pretty heavily working on as well is we're aware that there has been some unscrupulous behavior by our operatives, and while we are aware that the operatives within the game are acting as hackers, we have to make sure that they follow our code of conduct within our organization as well. So we've been building tools and security features into the app behind the scenes that will be detecting any operatives that are doing things that they shouldn't be, or circumventing systems that we've put in place to ensure a fair game. And those are things that we will continue to be working on and rolling out in the near future. But there's quite a few changes that have already shipped and more that will be coming soon.
Okay, now moving on to the second part of the update. Let's look at the current priorities for development. So maybe Michael, you might want to share more about that.
Yeah, definitely. So moving forward from now, we're in the big stretch towards getting our app ready for a beta release. So we've done a lot of discussions internally to try and align ourselves on what the actual goals are of hitting this target for beta. And the two big ones that we found were the most important for getting us into beta was, one, adding more and more features and gameplay elements just to make the game significantly more fun and engaging, and something that people want to come back to and doesn't feel just like a grind, unlike other games and ways that we've been previously. And the other big change that's coming when we move to beta is that we will be officially enabling operatives within the game to off-ramp their tokens that they earn from the day that we go on to beta, from the game into their crypto wallet on chain, which can then be used for various activities and trading on blockchains as well. So those are the two main priorities for us as we move into beta.
Yeah, so one of the big ways that we want to try and make the game more engaging and fun is through a leveling system. So with the leveling system that we're planning, this is going to be quite unique, we think, and powerful. And so we've been kind of trying to think, what is the leveling experience for our players? What makes sense for the game, the lore, and the type of game that we're creating? And in reality, we all care a lot about NFTs. And so we were thinking really what we want players to be able to do is level up their NFTs themselves. And so at the moment, the NFTs that we're working with are the masks, your virtual private mask. So what the problem was that we were facing is, let's say we introduce a leveling system and you perform all of these in-game activities and your mask increases in level. Well, that's cool, but then if somebody sells their NFT, then another player can just buy that and pay to win because they can just buy a high-level mask. So what we've decided on is a kind of two-prong leveling system where you will both level up your operative itself, which is kind of like your account. And we're not going to have as much functionality bound to that, but you'll also at the same time be leveling up your mask itself. And so as the mask levels up, you'll level up kind of close to at parity with your operative level. And the idea being that we're going to put constraints on them so that, yeah, exactly, like as your operative and mask level go up, if you were to go out as a level like 4 operative and buy a level 6 mask, that'll like get you ahead, and that'll be fully OP for you for that period. But you won't be able to kind of keep leveling that up beyond. So we're going to kind of allow it to balance out over time so that you can't just like buy well into the future. And we want all players to experience our leveling system because we've got some really cool stuff. And part of the leveling system that we're designing is also classes. So at the moment, it looks like we've kind of landed on 3 different classes, and our gameplay is still reasonably light because we're in alpha. We're not even in beta yet, but as part of the beta release, we think that we'll have enough gameplay to make this fun. And so what we've got are 3 classes, hacking, combat, and tech. And each of those different classes will have different strengths and weaknesses. And the idea is essentially that you can start building each of your different NFT masks, your VPMs, down different trees and specialize in different ways and experience different sort of strengths of the gameplay. And for beta, we're only going to take the leveling system so far, probably looking at 10 levels of gameplay at the moment. But in the future, we're planning on going all the way up. We've currently got it penned to 30. And obviously, we want to build out a lot more rich functionality over the next sort of 6 to 12 months. But for now, that's kind of an overview of what we're doing with leveling, operative and mask leveling, as well as 3 classes. So couldn't be more excited to be working on that. Michael, mute.
Yeah, my bad. So also to help us make the game more fun, we have a number of other enhancements that we're making to the existing gameplay that we'll share more about in the coming weeks. In particular, ways that you'll be able to explore and roam around the map faster, as well as ways to defend yourself better from future systems drones, and weapons to take them down in new and awesome ways. Because we are aware that future systems are onto us and they know that their drones are being destroyed, and there's probably some improvements coming that will be making it harder to take these drones down than they are right now.
Yes, but even though there is future systems that are trying to make your life harder, we're also going to start expanding the ways that we drop loot in the game. So up until this point, everything to do with the way that you get stuff on your operative, it's kind of baked into the existing UI, but we're right now in development working on an inventory system. And so that system that's in dev is going to allow us to start dropping loot in different ways. So when you explodify drones, for example, you'll be able to pick up like different consumables and stuff that'll help you basically enrich your gameplay. We're also going to start spawning stuff on the map as well. And we've got a whole big bunch of cool loot planned. So basically the arms race is on. It's future systems versus DeFi. And who will win, Operative? You tell me.
And finally, in terms of our present day priorities, as I mentioned earlier, a big one that a lot of you guys have been asking about is the ability to withdraw your tokens from the game and in your operative account onto your blockchain wallet and your crypto wallets. So this is something that we take very seriously because it's important for us to make sure that this is balanced in a way that doesn't have too many players pulling out, and we want to make sure that the token is able to continue to sustain our gameplay for the long run. And so there is a lot of robust discussion that's been happening internally around how we balance our sinks and our faucets within the game. And we've got a lot of new features that are coming that will allow us to give players value for holding and earning these tokens beyond just the few things that you guys have right now. But we're also going to be making sure that players who are earning the token are really earning it, not just joining the game to drain our economy. There will be ways that we will be attaching this earning to mechanisms that we've been talking about, including things like the leveling system will affect the methods and ways that you'll be able to earn these tokens. And this is something that we'll have more to share about in the near future as well. All right. Back to you, Chance. You're muted.
All right. So that's quite a few stuff already that's coming pretty soon, which is quite exciting. So for this next part of the update, part 3, let's take a look at some of the other developments coming for Q4. Brent?
Public launch! That is the big one that we're looking at doing. So App Stores is the name of the game for Q4. It is really, really hard though. We've been going through the latest test flight experiences, and we're negotiating at the moment on trying to get apps into the store. And like and so that review process is going to take some time, we think, as well. But yeah, we're working on it. So the main things that we're looking at doing are there's a few bits and pieces to the public launch. One is we don't want to launch in the app stores unless we can make it super nice and smooth, a smooth experience for new players. So we're going to smooth out the onboarding. At the moment, you log into the game and you're just kind of dumped on the dashboard. Instead, what we're going to do is walk players through the steps of like getting acquainted with their mask and the leveling system and the classes and how to just play the different mechanics. Because what we can't have is new players joining us and having to come to Discord to figure out like just organically the way to understand the context of the game. So we're doing that. And another huge part of that is free to play masks as well. So at the moment, everything that we've done has been gating everything behind premium masks. And so what we're doing is we're now switching around so that we're now, as we add the leveling system, we're going to be adding all of the different strengths of utility into those premium masks that you guys haven't really seen just yet. And so they're going to become quite a lot more powerful. And so what we're trying to do is we've designed a system for players to come into the game for free, experience like a few like pieces of gameplay and get a feel for what the game context is about. And then ideally get them on a path where they can play it all the way up to ideally in the future being able to like build or mint their own masks and level them up and augment and change those. But in the interim, there's going to be quite a bit of work going into how we create that sort of that wrap for those players. Michael.
So as we also move towards expanding our player base beyond the current cohort of operatives that we have now that are holding these premium masks, we want to be able to provide the most frictionless on-ramp that we can and give players the ability to join and get in without going through a very lengthy and complicated crypto setup, which is not for everybody. And some, if we want to hit large numbers of players, it's just going to be too much of a point of friction for a lot of people. So we've actually been investigating a number of different solutions to this and whether or not we allow players to play completely without a crypto wallet and just play in a standard Web 2 way alongside our Web 3 players. But as a company, we are very bullish, particularly on some of the asset ownership elements of Web 3. That's what I think is so amazing about this new technology and platforms is that allows our players to actually own and have on a blockchain their assets that they have created and used within these games. And that's something that they get to keep and take with them. And that's something that we don't want to take away from our new players that are joining who may not yet be familiar with those benefits. So a solution that we're really heavily investigating right now is a platform called Magic.Link. These guys have created a really amazing software development kit for onboarding new players and new people into the crypto space while removing away a lot of the complexities of things like recovery keys and all of the other sorts of security things that people may need to deal with traditional crypto wallets like MetaMask. So Magic.Link wallets allows our new players to sign up just using an email address and have a crypto wallet within the game in a method though that is non-custodial. So we, to be clear, will not at all at any point hold on to private keys of any of our users. We think it's very important for our users to be the ones that retain complete control over their assets. We don't want to be the people holding that because at that point you're effectively operating like a Web 2 company that's just got assets sitting on a server. So one of the amazing benefits of using Magic.Link is it creates this non-custodial experience where players can get in and become crypto users seamlessly and maybe without even realizing it to begin with. And then when they decide to continue playing and earn more tokens and assets within the game, they actually already have a crypto wallet that is holding custody of these assets. And we give them a method to, if they would like to pull it out of the app and use it as a broader crypto wallet and hold those assets elsewhere, they'll have the ability to export their private key from their device and use it in other manners in Web3 as well. So this is something that we think is going to be really important moving forward. So one of the other major things that we want to allow players to do, so we understand that getting out and moving is something that can be a large point of friction for players. We think it's amazing, and we think it creates a great experience for people to actually go out and explore and find all these new things. But it is something that does get in the way and makes it harder to engage with the game on an ongoing basis. So one of the great things that we're looking at doing at the moment is providing other options for players who may be sitting at a desk at work to continue to engage with the game. We've got a number of options we're weighing up, but we haven't yet settled on the specifics of what we're doing.
One of those things that we're playing around with the idea of is exactly in what ways we want players to be able to use their personal drones. We've talked about this in the past, and we're planning on doing another mint at some point in the future. So that you can buy the base components of personal drones, where we're playing around with a few different ideas, because we might be able to bring some of that gameplay forward to solve that problem that Michael's describing. So it's hard because we can do that sooner, or do we want to build a more fully fledged experience in 3D that it comes in downstream in a couple of months' time, like potentially even post public launch. So we're still evaluating exactly how we spec that up for the public launch.
All right. Well, that brings us to the final part of the update, which is a look into our long-term vision. So maybe we can share more about some of the things planned for further down the line, Brent?
Yeah. I mean, I think players that have been experiencing DeFi so far, just please keep in mind this is alpha. We have a really big vision, and we want to create the world's most deep and engaging location-based game. And we want to blur the boundaries between reality and the virtual world that we're crafting in DeFi. And so there's just so many dimensions to what we want to do in that space. There's a lot of stuff in dev. We just walked you through the next few months, but in the broader picture, there's quite a bit more. Michael, do you want to share some of your views?
Yeah, for sure. So one aspect of allowing for deep engagement within our game and our universe is immersion. And we think that adding in a first-person shooter mode that's coming down the line will actually help to increase immersion and let you feel and experience this world in a more real and tangible way. So I'm actually going to do one of those dreaded live demos that tech people always scared of, but I'm feeling pretty confident because it's quite a fun little experience that we've got. But this is an early prototype that we've never shown before of what engaging with a drone in a more first-person shooter manner could look like as we sort of move towards this piece of functionality. So this is actually live on my phone screen, and you can see I have a weapon that can shoot towards this drone. The drone will be firing back at me, and it has a shield that it can't be hit until I take out the 3 energy points on the shield. So when it's down, I've got to try and hit it as many times as I can before the shield then comes back up again. The weapon also allows you to long charge to shoot a more powerful but slower projectile, which can be used. And if you get hit, you'll actually start to take damage and get closer to being traced by the drone as well. And so I've just taken it out, and mission success, and I didn't have to pay an F-coin fine, which is pretty exciting. This game is done completely with motion control, so as you sort of move your phone around, it aims in a very intuitive manner, and we're really excited about where this piece of gameplay is headed very soon as well. You'll notice that was taking place in a full 3D environment and not necessarily within an augmented reality environment. While we do think that AR is something that can be really amazing, when you look at the statistics for games like Pokemon Go with their AR mode, it's a really great way of creating shareable moments that can be shared on places like Twitter, but it's often switched off by players for battery reasons, performance reasons, as well as it can just sometimes be a little bit clunky. So we will be integrating AR into our platform as we move forward, but we want to experiment with the best ways to do that so that it gives the best experience for our operatives.
Another thing that we're really keen on, that we care a lot about, in that crossover between the real world and the virtual world, is how we blur those boundaries. And NFTs are something that most people watching this will know a reasonable amount about. We're expecting a lot of you guys will be gamers. You've got your NFTs, but we think that there's a lot more that can be done with them that aren't being done commonly. The first example of that is what we did with the decals in our last Uprising collection mint, where you can augment those. And so what's coming in the future, and something that's very, very much work in progress, is the ability to customize those personal drones I mentioned before. We're still mapping out how the gameplay is going to work, but we've got a reasonably confident view that we're going to be setting up PvP and co-op. It's just timelines. It's the hard part on that stuff. So what we're doing in the time ahead is looking at how the 3D assets could be integrated. So if we were to when we do our drone chassis mint, what's the way that you'll be able to attach weapons or propulsion systems or batteries and parts to it? So an example of like the kind of mental model that we've got for how this would look can be seen in this little video here. So this is an example of one of the drones, and we've had some of these models built. And you can see the different components. Each of those different parts we're expecting will be NFTs. And you'll be able to collect those through the maps, through destroying future systems drones for some parts. Some of them will be sold by DeFi itself. But the way that you collect these different parts is going to be according to kind of a standard loot table, where you can get that feel for what you want to build according to your class, and then pick out all of the different things that make the most sense. And they're going to have different rarity levels, different look and feels. And you'll probably notice as well the display there on the front. That is something that we're looking at pretty seriously for integrating other projects in the future. So that modularity and and the ability for NFTs to kind of let you have that real world ownership sense, we think it helps you bring players more into the game. We hope that that's the experience that we can create, and we're pretty confident with that. Michael, any other things that you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, for sure. So another area that we're super passionate about as a team, and something that we think is critical for providing an experience here that people will want to engage with again and again, is providing methods for players and operatives to collaborate with one another. So this is an area that we've got a lot of ideas, and our team is very passionate about. And whenever we have our brainstorming sessions, there's lots of different ideas thrown left and right, and we're doing a lot of brainstorming on this. But some of the things that we're really excited about that we'll be looking at in the future as well is allowing players to create their own potential teams that they can work together with other operatives on, as well as allowing these teams to capture and hold these zones that are spread around the world. And so these hexagonal zones may actually be able to be captured by teams and had various things done to them, like defenses and adding all sorts of upgrades to them in the future as well. So we don't have any specifics to share on this yet, but this is something that just makes us really excited.
Yeah, can't wait.
Okay, so as you can see, there's some really exciting gameplay elements coming ahead. The videos look pretty cool, actually. With that, we just about covered the updates for now. And I just want to thank everyone once again for joining us today. We will be having an AMA session sometime soon, so look forward to that if you have any questions that you would like to ask. Until then, take care and see you soon.
Bye, everybody.